Everybody on that counter exercising.
Get exercise in.
And the wind never slowed down.
Lifting this water jug.
Oh, I'm just at odds with. I feel real guilty.
Well, you should if your wife's sick.
Well, she's in the hospital down there, and she's on death's door.
She's down there at the hospital at death's door. Man, I hope that doctor can pull her through.
Well, that's okay. It don't matter. I got it all planned out. I know what I'm going to do.
You've got a plan?
Yeah, I'm going to marry her sister.
If your wife dies, you're going to marry her sister?
Yep, I really am.
What's that all about?
I don't want to break in a new mother-in-law. How are you doing today, Junior? I can tell a little bit.
Well, there ain't hardly nothing the matter with me. I'm just as healthy as a holler tree. Oh, I've got rheumatics in both my knees, and when I talk, I speak with a wheeze. There's a rupture in my old backbone, a rupture in a kidney stone. My pulse is weak, but my blood's thin, but I'm awfully well for the shape I'm in. Now, my old hobnail liver, it's plumb out of whack, and the corns on my feet, they're hurting my back. I got salivated and my teeth fell out, and my blood is tainted and I've got the gout. My hearing's gone and I can't see, and the 7-year itch is working on me. But my pulse is weak and my blood's thin, but I'm awfully well for the shape I'm in. Now there's a dang good lesson in this tale of woe, so don't you forget it wherever you go. It's better just to say I'm fine and grin than to let folks know the real shape you're in. Now when I'm cold and dead and gone, I hope somebody else will do this poem. And they'll say, old Junior wasn't able to sin, but he was awfully well for the shape he is in. Well, Rooster,
I ain't in hardly good shape at all. I went to the doctor yesterday.
Yeah?
Yeah, and he gave me a bottle of pills, about that big. And he said, Rooster, said, you're going to have to take these pills for the rest of your life.
Big bottle, huh?
Yeah. He only gave me a 30-day supply.
He making much out of you.
Well, you know, he called me when I got this morning when I got in here at the gate. He called me. He said, Rooster, said I've got some bad news and I've got some worse news.
Oh my goodness, what that was all about?
Well, I don't know. I thought you ought to have some good news when you go to the doctor.
No, there wasn't no good news in this.
No. Well, I said, go ahead, Doc, and give me the bad news first. he said, Rooster, said you only got 24 hours to live.
Well, what was the worst news?
Well, I said, Doc, give me the worst news. He said, I forgot to call you yesterday.
Me and Rooster went down to that club down here at Witch and West where they got a dance on Wednesday night. Yeah, he wanted to go dance.
I had to go.
And I said, Rooster, you're not in shape to dance, but he said, let's go down there anyway. So I always go down to Circle T and sing a song on Wednesday night.
Yep.
So I run down there and I done my song. And I'm coming back up there at Mission West, and I get into that dance and I see Rooster dancing with the youngest, prettiest girl in there. And he's just bouncing and going and having a big time. And I run up and I said, Rooster, what in the world are you doing?
That doctor told me to get me a
hot mama and be cheerful.
Hot mama and be cheerful.
He did not tell you that. I was standing right there by you when he told you.
That's what he said. I went and done it.
He said, Rooster, you've got a heart murmur. You better be careful. That's what he said. All right, we got to get Rooster lined up here.
What about?
Well, what was that one doctor told you he was going to die? What was that all about?
Oh, it was bad. He told me, that doctor told me that Rooster, you're going to die within a week.
Die within a week?
Yeah, if you don't quit running around with women.
How did he know that?
One of them women was his wife.
Well, did you hear about old buddy Jim dying?
Yeah, I did. I heard about it. But and you know Jim owed me $10.
Oh man, that's bad. That's real bad.
No, it ain't too bad. I done figured out how to get it back.
You're going to get money back from a dead man?
Yeah, you know, Jim was pretty good. You know, he's a pretty good old boy. And when I die and I get up there into heaven, I'll just ask Jim for my $10.
I knew old Jim pretty well. He had a few faults. What if he didn't make heaven?
Well, why don't you get it from him and mail it to me?
Oh, I see my buddy Cole and Carol Yoakum down there. They rode that bus over here, didn't they? I mean, they must have had a time riding that bus.
I bet they did.
Carol they moved up there at Mountain View with us, you know. And I helped them find them a little place out in the country. And so they built them a little house out there. And they said, Junior, you get up the crew and bring them over and we'll do a little picking and eat some chicken. Said, we've got a bunch of chicken saved up. So we get over there and when we get to Cole's house...
Get off the cord.
Oh, I'm standing on the cord?
That's his lifeline.
Anyway, we get over to Cole's house, and as we pull up, out there in front, he's out there with a forklift and had 2 hogs posted up to a persimmon tree. And I said, Cole, what in the world are you doing with them hogs eating off of that persimmon tree? And he said, I'm fattening these hogs. I said, isn't that a terrible waste of time? He said, no. He said, time don't mean nothing to a hog. So we get on up to his house, and he's got his house built up on stilts. Big screened-in porch. And I get to looking, and these hogs are sleeping under that porch. And I said, Cole, isn't that a little bit unhealthy? He said, no, we hadn't lost a hog yet. And I said, well, what about the smell? He said, oh, they'll get used to it. We had to. So we get on in there. We got to get this picking in. See, we're out there picking on the porch. And an old hen comes running around the corner of the house, dragging a wing and foaming at the mouth. And she fell dead right there in the front yard. Well, we're picking and singing them songs, and I didn't say a word about that, you know. One of the kids come and grabbed that old hen and throwed her in a cart and rolled her right back up there in the kitchen. Well, we go ahead and picking and singing, and well, they finally get this chicken done. They brought out a whole barrel full of it, and I'm on my 4th or 5th piece. Here comes another old hen running around the house. Fell dead right in the yard. Well, I couldn't ignore this one. I looked over at Cole and I said, Cole, what is wrong with them chickens? He said, I don't know, Junior, but they're dying faster than we can eat them.
You know what? I don't have. My wife ain't gonna have to fix me no something. I stopped at McDonald's down here a while ago and got me a sandwich.
Yeah, you've already eaten.
Yeah, I was sitting there minding my own business, just like I always do.
Oh.
Yeah. And there was a couple sitting way back there in the back in a booth, you know, and they was eating, you know. And I was sitting there watching, you know, and all of a sudden that man, he just slid right down out of that chair and right underneath that booth right there, and he was laying right there at that woman's feet.
Huh.
Yeah. I was minding my own business. But anyway, I got concerned about it, you know, and so I walked back there and I said, ma'am, I said, did you know your husband was laying at your feet right there under that booth? She said, no. I said, my husband just walked in the back door back there.
Well, as I was coming up here, down there at that Rio Bank, I saw the police had you pulled over. What was that all about?
I don't know. He just, you know, he stopped. You know, normally they don't get you out of the car, you know, and nothing like that. But he had me back there at the back of the car, and he was trying to write and everything on that pad and everything, and he just quit. All of a sudden, he just went to squatting, just at his face like that right there. And he said, what in the world are them things? I said, they're dibble-dabbers. He said, what's a dibble-dabber? I said, well, it's a little gnat, fly-looking thing, you know, that flies around the horses behind. He said, you calling me a horse's behind? I said, no, sir, but you can't fool them dibble-dabbers.
Well, Rooster, I'm not going to come over to your house anymore.
Well, why not, Junior?
It's that bulldog of yours. I was over there the other day trying to sneak your wheelbarrow out from under the porch. I was buying it, you know. And that bulldog spotted me. And he took off after me and chased me up your apple tree.
Junior, that bulldog won't bite. He won't bite at all. In fact, he's real fond of children. He likes kids.
I know. I talked to the neighbors and they're missing 2 of theirs right now.
Junior, that dog will eat out of your hand. He'll eat right out of your hand.
He'll chew on your leg too.
Junior, I saw that dog chasing you across that yard right there, and he was wagging his tail.
He was growling and showing his teeth too. I didn't know which end to believe.
Oh, mercy.
Now, me and Rooster was down here at the bank the other day transacting some business. I mean, we was doing really good on that bank transacting, and he had his wife with him. Yeah, and of course we get to telling stories there. We won't leave. We get together. So anyway, a bank robber runs in. He said, "Everybody hit the floor." Well, we did, face down on that floor. He walks up to that teller and he said, "Fill this bag up with money." So she filled it up with money, and he said, "Now I'm just going to shoot you because you got a good look at me."
Good look.
Yeah. And then he turned around to the guard on the door and said, "I'm going to have to shoot you too. You saw me when I come in."
Good look at him.
He put his boot right on the back of Rooster's head.
Yep.
He said, "Mister, did you see me when I come in?" Rooster said, "No, sir, I didn't see a thing, but my wife here got a good look at you."
Junior, you look like a monkey.
Saying I look like a monkey is going a little too far, Rooster. I'm telling you, you're going to have to apologize for something like that.
I'll apologize.
Well, go ahead and apologize. When are you going to apologize?
When I see that monkey.
Well, what do you take me for anyway, Rooster? A fool?
No, sir. I don't judge nobody by their looks.
Well, I was out back a-pumping on that old pump out there.
Yep.
Thing was just rusty as it be, and I greased it up, and I pumped, and I pumped, and I pumped. I never got a thing out of that pump. You have any idea what was wrong?
I sure do. The sucker was on the wrong end. Hey, did you know?
He's filming you there.
I know. What'd you say his name was? You told me his name was?
Cole.
Cole. Yeah, that's right. You know, Cole and his wife. When I'm in town, I do some counseling. I do a little counseling. And see, me and my wife, we got a perfect marriage and everything. And I know how. And Cole asked me to come up to counsel with him one day, and I come rolling up there, you know, and walked up there and knocked on the door. And Cole said, "Well, come on in." Well, I said, "Wait a minute, Cole." Said, "If you'll tell me just exactly what you and your wife was arguing about and fussing about just before I got here," said, "it'll be easy. It won't be hard for me. It won't be hard at all." She jumped up there, his wife jumped up there and said, "I'm going to tell you what Cole done." Said, "Cole told me that I could not bake bread like his mama."
You mean his mom was better than Carol?
That's what he said, "You cannot bake bread like his mama."
Huh.
She jumped up there and she said, "You know what? I could make bread like your mama if you could make dough like my daddy."
Oh, well, I got to tell him about this job I got one time. Our entertainers sometimes runs out of money, you know. We don't make a whole lot of money, and we went broke here a couple of years ago. I had to get me a real job. So I'm driving a stretch limousine up here in Dallas, Texas. So I'm picking up people and hauling them around. So Billy Graham's crusade come to town. So they sent me out to haul Billy Graham around all week. So every time he'd put that show on, he'd come back and I'd drive him back over there to Grapevine to his hotel at, what is that, Gaylord Enterprise or whatever it is. He's so fancy, you know, big time. So one time he come out from that show and he said, he looked at me and he said, "Mister," said, "I'd love to drive that stretch limo." He said, "I've always wanted to drive one of these things." So anyway, I said, "Well, yeah, I don't care if you're driving it, you can chauffeur me around." So we get out there and we're headed down 635. We get on that loop and man, we're going around that thing. We're having us a lot of fun. He's driving and he gets that limo up to 80 mile an hour. Well, the policeman pulls him over. And that policeman, he seen it was Billy Graham and he said, "Whoa, wait a minute, I better call my supervisor here." He said, "He told me if I stopped anybody of any importance to check in with him before I wrote him any tickets." So he calls his supervisor and he said, "Oh," said, "I've got to have some help on this one." He said, "I've stopped somebody really important." And he said, "Well, who have you pulled over? Willie Nelson again?" And he said, no, it's way bigger than that. And he said, well, you didn't stop Rick Perry, the governor. No, he said, it's way bigger than that. Well, he said, who in the world have you pulled over? He said, it must be God because Billy Graham has chauffeured him around.
Hey, you know my teeth. You know I had them. I ain't got. You know what? My teeth are just like stars.
I don't see how that could possibly.
Yeah, they come out at night. You know, me and my wife, we keep our teeth not in the same jar, but right beside another on the sink. You know, we keep them right there when we clean them at night. You know, and everything. And you know, the other morning I got up, put her teeth in. I didn't shut up for 6 hours.
All right, the punches are ready back there, so we're going to turn it over to them.
Hold on.